Emma's a corporate lawyer who actually appreciates James' potential. Unlike some people who'd rather waste their lives painting, my mother-in-law Patricia announced, placing her hand on the young blonde's shoulder while I sat directly across the table, carving the turkey I'd spent 6 hours preparing. The woman she'd introduced as my replacement wore a red dress identical to one Patricia had bought me 3 years ago, before she knew I'd never give her the grandchildren she demanded, and smiled at my husband with practiced perfection. What Patricia didn't know was that I'd been recording every conversation in this house for the past 6 months. Ever since James had drunkenly confessed his mother was working on a solution to our marriage problem. "How lovely," I said, passing Emma the cranberry sauce I'd made from scratch. "Corporate law must be fascinating. Which firm are you with?" Emma glanced nervously at Patricia before answering. "Henderson and Associates. I specialize in family law. Actually. Divorce attorney." I smiled, taking a sip of wine. How convenient. James shifted in his seat, his face flushed with more than just alcohol. We'd been married for 7 years, together for 10, and he still couldn't meet my eyes when his mother orchestrated her manipulations. "Emma's also from a good family," Patricia continued, as if ticking off items on a shopping list. "The Weatherfords of Connecticut. Her father's a federal judge. Very well connected. And fertile," James's sister Vivian added with a smirk. "She mentioned she wants at least 4 children." I buttered my roll with deliberate calm, the same way I'd maintained composure through 7 years of these dinners. 7 years of being told my art career was a hobby, my choice to delay children was selfish, and my refusal to quit working was emasculating to James. 4 children, I repeated. "That's ambitious. I hope your prenup accounts for that, Emma. Children are expensive." The table went silent. Patricia's perfectly Botoxed face attempted a frown. "Prenup?" Emma's voice wavered slightly. "Oh, did Patricia not mention?" I reached for the green beans. "James insisted on one when we married. Ironclad. In case of divorce, all assets remain separate. The house, the investments, the business holdings, everything stays with whoever brought it to the marriage." "Well, obviously that would be renegotiated," Patricia said quickly. "James has built substantial wealth since then." "Has he?" I asked innocently. I hadn't noticed. "Still working at his father's company, right? Same position for, what is it now, 5 years?" James's father, Robert, coughed into his napkin. He'd always been the quieter parent, content to let Patricia run the show, but I caught the flicker of discomfort in his eyes. "James is being groomed for leadership," Patricia insisted. "Unlike some people who play with paint all day." "Speaking of playing with paint," I said, turning to Emma, "did Patricia show you my studio?" "It's in the east wing of the house. Beautiful light in the mornings." "Your house?" Emma looked confused. Patricia said James owned. "The house is mine," I clarified. "Inherited from my grandmother 2 years before James and I married. That's why it's not part of the marital assets." The prenup was very specific about premarital property. I watched the information sink in. Emma was sharp. I could see her recalculating. A corporate lawyer's salary was good, but not by a 6-bedroom colonial in Westchester good. "But surely James has equity," Patricia started. "Oh no," I interrupted. "James was very clear about keeping finances separate. He pays me rent, actually. Below market rate, of course. I'm not heartless." "You charge your husband rent?" Vivian's voice dripped disdain. "His idea," I said cheerfully. "He said it would help him maintain his pride as a provider. I have all the emails where he insisted on it. So organized, my James." James reached for the wine bottle, his 3rd refill of the evening. His silence spoke volumes. He knew I was telling the truth, and he knew there was more I could say. "Well," Patricia rallied, "Emma won't be some struggling artist. She'll be a true partner in James's success." "I'm hardly struggling," I said mildly. "Did James not mention? My last exhibition sold out." The Whitmore Gallery wants to do a retrospective next year. One lucky break doesn't make a career. Patricia dismissed. I pulled out my phone, scrolling to my bank app. You're right. That's why I've been careful. 7 years of sales, commissions, and investments. My financial advisor is very pleased with the portfolio. Don't be crass, dear, Patricia said, though her eyes tried to glimpse the screen. Money talk at dinner is gauche. But introducing my replacement at Christmas dinner is appropriate. I set down my phone. Interesting etiquette rules in this family. Emma pushed back her chair slightly. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Patricia said that I was leaving. I guessed. That James and I were separated. That divorce was imminent. What else did she tell you, Emma? The younger woman's face flushed. She said you couldn't have children. That you tricked James into marriage knowing you were barren. Barren. I laughed, actually laughed. How medieval. No, Emma. I'm not barren. I'm on birth control. Very effective birth control, because I chose not to have children with a man who lets his mother audition my replacements at family dinners. How dare you? Patricia started. Oh, I dare. I cut her off, my calm finally cracking. 7 years of daring, Patricia. 7 years of smiling while you undermined my career, insulted my family, and tried to control my uterus. But introducing my replacement while I'm sitting right here? That's a new low, even for you. You're being hysterical. James finally spoke, his words slightly slurred. Mother just invited a friend for dinner. A friend who happens to be a divorce attorney who wants 4 kids. I stood, placing my napkin on the table. How convenient. Tell me, James, did you know about this? Or are you as spineless as always? Don't speak to him that way, Patricia snapped. You've never appreciated what you have. A good man from a good family. A man who hasn't touched me in 6 months, I said, watching James pale. A man who opened a separate bank account 3 months ago. A man whose browser history shows he's been looking at apartments in the city. You went through my computer? James stood unsteadily. No, darling. You left it open on the kitchen counter. Right next to the credit card statement showing charges at the Ritz-Carlton on days you were supposedly at conferences. Robert's head snapped up at that. The Ritz-Carlton? Tuesday afternoons, usually, I supplied helpfully. Always the same room. Always charged to the corporate card. That's for client meetings, James protested. Which client? I asked. Because your secretary, lovely woman, very chatty, mentioned you don't have client meetings on Tuesdays. That's your golf afternoon. The silence stretched. Emma was edging toward the door. Smart girl. I should go, Emma said quietly. This is clearly a family matter. Oh, don't leave on my account, I said. Stay for dessert. I made Patricia's favorite, lemon tart. From scratch, of course. Artists have so much free time, after all. Stop this, Patricia hissed. You're embarrassing yourself. Am I? I pulled out my phone again. Should I play the recording from Thanksgiving where you told Vivian that you were handling the Meredith problem? Or the one from last month where you called that matchmaker? Patricia's face had gone from red to white. You recorded private conversations? In my own home? Perfectly legal. I smiled. My lawyer confirmed it. Oh, that reminds me. James, you'll be getting a letter from my attorney after the holidays. I thought it would be nicer to wait until after Christmas. Your attorney? James sobered slightly. Meredith, let's discuss this privately. Like you discussed Emma privately? I gestured to the blonde, who was now backing toward the door. No, I think we're past private discussions. You want a divorce. Fine. But we're doing it on my terms, not your mother's timeline. You can't divorce him. Patricia stood, knocking over her wine glass. You're nothing without this family. Just some bohemian artist with delusions of grandeur. Patricia. Robert's voice cut through her tirade. Sit down. We all turned to stare. Robert hadn't used that tone in years. Robert? Patricia's voice wavered. Sit down. He turned to Emma. Miss Weatherford, I apologize for this evening. My wife clearly misled you. Please accept my apologies and my assurance that this won't affect any professional relationship with your firm. Emma nodded and practically ran for the door. I didn't blame her. Now, Robert continued, his voice deadly calm, would someone like to explain why my son has been charging hotel rooms to the company card? Dad, I can explain, James started. And why my wife has been arranging replacements for a marriage that isn't even over. Robert's gaze moved to Patricia. And why we're having this conversation at Christmas dinner? She trapped him. Patricia burst out. She seduced him with her bohemian ways, and then refused to give him children. I was protecting our legacy. Our legacy. I laughed. Your legacy is a son who can't stand up to his mother and a daughter who's on her third husband. Some legacy, Patricia. How dare? I dare because I'm done. I walked around the table, stopping beside Robert. I'm sorry it has to end this way. You've always been kind to me. He nodded sadly. I'm sorry too, Meredith. You deserved better from this family. Dad, James protested. Whose side are you on? The side of decency, Robert replied. Which seems to be in short supply at this table. I gathered my coat from the hall closet, listening to the argument exploding behind me. Patricia shrieking about grandchildren and legacy. James whining about respect and support. Vivian chiming in with her own grievances. Only Robert remained silent. As I reached the door, he appeared beside me. Meredith, wait. I paused, coat half on. The house in the Hamptons, he said quietly. The one Patricia always claims they own. It's actually in my name alone. If you need a place to stay while you sort through the divorce. I smiled, the first genuine smile of the evening. That's kind, Robert. But I'll be fine. I've been preparing for this for months. The recordings. Among other things. I pulled on my gloves. Your son's not a bad man, Robert. Just a weak one. And your wife. Well, she loves him in her way. It's just a very damaging way. He nodded. For what it's worth, I think your paintings are extraordinary. I bought one, you know. It's in my office, not at home. Patricia would have a fit. But I look at it every day. Which one? I was genuinely curious. The Storm series. The one with the lighthouse. He smiled slightly. It reminds me that even in the worst storms, there's always a light somewhere. I squeezed his hand. Take care of yourself, Robert. Don't let them drain all the light out of you. I left then, walking out into the crisp Christmas night. My phone buzzed with texts. James, Patricia, Vivian, all demanding I return, apologize, explain myself. I deleted them all and called my lawyer. Helen? Yes, I know it's Christmas. It happened. Can we file on Monday? As I drove away from the house that had never felt like home, I thought about Emma Weatherford. Poor thing probably thought she'd hit the jackpot. A wealthy family, an available son. A clear path to the life Patricia had mapped out for her. She'd learn, eventually, that the Morrison family's wealth came with strings attached. Puppet strings with Patricia as the master manipulator. My phone rang. James. I let it go to voicemail and turned up the radio. Bing Crosby was dreaming of a white Christmas. I was dreaming of freedom. By New Year's, the divorce papers would be filed. By spring, I'd be in my own apartment, painting full-time, no longer scheduling my creativity around Patricia's demands and James' neglect. But tonight, I'd go home to the house my grandmother had left me, the house Patricia never knew was worth 3 times what they thought. I'd pour myself a glass of the good wine I kept hidden from James's grabbing hands, and I'd toast to the best Christmas gift I'd ever given myself, the gift of walking away. Patricia could keep her son, her legacy, her delusions of grandeur. Emma Weatherford could have the questionable honor of being the next Mrs. Morrison if she was foolish enough to accept it. Me? I had my art, my house, my freedom, and the recording of Patricia admitting to orchestrating the whole thing. My lawyer would particularly enjoy that part. Merry Christmas to me.